We're back. Body Talk. This is Spencer.
Hello.
Spencer runs this ish.
Hannah runs the gym. I'm just a part owner.
Spencer creates the evil things we have to do with our bodies. Yes. But you also coach the classes.
Yeah.
And do all the things. So starting this off, my first question would be, when did you first become aware or like thinking about your body and how it looks?
I would say probably around freshman year in high school.
Okay.
So like freshman year in high school was kind of the first time a lot of my friends or people that I knew were starting to do football and going to the weight room. They were starting to look a little bit stronger. I wasn't super into football, so I did not have access, nor as a freshman, the confidence to go to the weight room. And so a lot of the sports that I played were like running and, like basketball and stuff like that, which was early on. Freshman year was not in season. And so it was about that time that I would say it started like recognizing that, lifting weights was a thing, and that how that had effects on your body, basically, and the way you looked.
Yeah. So kind of the beginning of noticing that there can be aesthetic changes from certain things you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Since then, how would you say your journey with your relationship with your body has like progressed, changed, what that journey has looked like in general?
Yeah, it's gone through so many different phases. I would say that so if that was like the initial phase of kind of realizing that there was a way to change how you looked with exercise, I started doing rowing as a sport, actually because one of my friends was like, if you want to get a six pack, you should do rowing. And so like that was the like initial thing as a freshman in high school that like piqued my interest for rowing. It was, and then I went and started, and it was a whole different story. Like I was more interested in it because of the sport itself, not because of how it made me look. But really throughout high school, I had very little in the way of like thoughts about my body image. Granted, it was like pretty good given the amount of training that I was doing, but it was always like a byproduct of my performance as an athlete. When I went to college, though, I definitely did gain the freshman 15. I was not rowing as much and coming off of a sport that had like a really high caloric demand. And my body and my stomach was like used to just eating a lot of food and not really having to worry about that, and it was just kind of used as fuel for performance. When I switched to college and I was only working out for an hour and a half a day, when it was convenient and I was eating a lot more and probably drinking, like I started to notice some changes that I wasn't super happy with. And then through that period, all through college, there were kind of like undulations of gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight and losing weight is usually just a byproduct of how much I was working out.
Yeah.
Not so much as like a concerted effort to gain or lose weight.
For sure. With that journey, and I guess recognizing like, okay, if I move my body a certain way, it can change it. If I start moving less, it can change it.
Mm-hmm.
So it might sound like a silly question, but like, why was that ever important to you to be paying attention to how your body was changing and how it was looking?
Yeah, I think the answer to that has changed more, or it's kind of ebbed and flowed with how, like, what season of life I was in, basically. Currently and back in high school, it was more a function of just like, I want to perform. I'll just eat enough to perform well.
Yeah.
And whatever my body looks like will be the way that it looks for, getting me the results that I want in the gym that are not that aren't even aesthetic
Yeah.
based. I would say that they're like through college and kind of earlier on in my journey with CrossFit, there was definitely uh, a focus on aesthetics, and it was more like I would look at people who were really good at it and be like, they look like that, so that means I should look like that.
Yeah.
But really the difference, like the paradigm shift there was like, they also don't care about how they, like, at least for the sport, which if we're talking about CrossFit or rowing, they're not trying to look like that. They're trying to just perform at a very high level, and they look like that by virtue of
how much they're training
and what their workouts look like. But early on, it was a little bit of like some mental grappling that I had to do with that to understand that it's not let me make myself look like that and then I will perform that way. It's just go and try and perform that way, and then you'll end up looking like that.
I mean, I tell so many of my clients that are focused on weight loss, which is like, it might be a symptom of what you do, but usually if that is what you're creating your habits around, you're not going to create sustainable habits.
Yeah, I would say that like most athletes that you see online look the way they do just as a byproduct of the type of training that they do, with the exception of bodybuilding. Yeah. Which is the whole point of bodybuilding would be to manipulate calories and training in order to look a certain way. Yeah. Like that is the outcome that they're searching for. But, any track, volleyball, basketball, all those, any endurance sport, they all look the way they do because of the way they're trying to perform, not because of not because they think that that's a part of the sport.
Well, and I like to remind people too, especially in the world of CrossFit, it's like, it's their job. Like this is what they're spending all their time doing. They're kind of like treating their body like a machine so it can perform the way they want it to. But then I think in the contrast, it's also important to remember, you look at the Olympics, like there is a wide range of what bodies look like, and they're also some of the highest performing athletes in the world. So it's not necessarily only, like you said, the only thing that dictates your performance. Right. Would you say that, because I actually don't know the beginning of your CrossFit journey, was there any aesthetic reason that you got into CrossFit, or was it a different reason?
No, I was fresh off of the competitive rowing train and was looking for something to do. I was coaching rowing, and one of my coaches that I was coaching with was like, hey, watch this CrossFit documentary. It was pretty cool. I watched it and was like, that looks awesome. That looks as hard as rowing, but also they get to do other cool stuff. It's not just sitting on a machine all day. And so that's how I got into it. I didn't, and it was, I don't want to say it was before like the influencer existed, but like I started getting into CrossFit in 2016. So it was definitely before, I mean, that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there wasn't like the Instagram feed with just constantly being fed these like quick clips of people exercising. It was like, it was a different sort of thing. You know?
It was kind of still making its name and growing as a sport in general, it seems like too.
Yeah, and the way well, I guess what I'm saying is like there wasn't like a feed of people with their shirts off looking really good doing CrossFit. It was a curated like documentary talking about how challenging and like extreme the sport and like the test of fitness was. Yeah. Which is what enticed me. If it was like, hey, look at how good these people look, it wouldn't have been as interesting to me. And because that also already kind of existed, and it always has, is bodybuilding, right? Yeah. And so like what was interesting to me was like how hard things were and doing these like kind of putting your mind and your body to the test, not necessarily chasing after like an aesthetic goal that I saw on like an Instagram
Yeah.
feed or something.
I mean, I think one of the coolest things about CrossFit too is like the way it really is a sport of fitness. Like you are truly testing your fitness, but
yeah,
that's a whole other conversation. I guess with where you're at now, you've been doing CrossFit for 10 years, you own an affiliate, you coach CrossFit. Where's your relationship with your body at now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Over the past couple of years, I had made a concerted effort to try and get stronger for sure, because that's what, was lacking in my skill set as a competitive CrossFit athlete. In that period of time, we ended up moving the gym. Hannah and I, my wife and I, bought a house. I got really busy. I was dealing with just some like kind of feeling run down. And so I ended up taking a step away from competitive CrossFit. And by virtue of that, was sort of left finishing this like really big strength cycle. I was kind of bigger. And I would say that I was a little dissatisfied with how I looked. And it wasn't, I guess, I don't know why. It was just like, I feel like I don't want to look like this. There were also like performance indicators for me that I felt like were starting to fall off by virtue of carrying more body weight with me. And so I did make a good solid effort to lose some weight. And in doing so, felt a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel like I've lost 20 pounds since I kind of started really making an effort in the beginning of the year. My strength went down very.
I was going to ask, like, how much of that was muscle versus
the scan said that it was not a significant amount of muscle.
For sure.
There was a little bit of muscle that I lost.
Yeah.
It was mostly body fat. I lost like 40% of my initial fat mass that I started with. Where I notice is I just like feel like I have more energy. I'm not finding myself wanting to take a nap when I get home from the gym. And I can certainly like work harder and sustain more of my fitness and pace during workouts, which feels really good. But I guess I'm not sure what the initial driver was for wanting to lose weight. Whether I do know what it is. I was dissatisfied with how I looked and wanted to feel better doing like metcons in the gym. Yeah. I'm not sure what like the split was, whether that was 80-20 or 50-50 or so.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of an interesting point because what comes to mind when you're like, I was dissatisfied with how I look. I have a ton of clients where I would challenge them on that. I would be like, okay, where is this dissatisfaction coming from? Why is it so strong? Is there a way that even if you still maybe change your body, you can find acceptance or take away some of the attachment or worth on how you're specifically looking? But then I think it's interesting when you're somebody who is as knowledgeable as you and just, had experience in your sport, you kind of had just a natural understanding of what you needed to do. It worked within your habits. And so I guess my question for you is more so as a coach, like if you have a client or just somebody at the gym come to you and like pretty much their only goal is like, I really want to lose weight. I don't like how I look. How do you approach that as a coach, trying to keep in mind like, are they going to, potentially approach this in a harmful, inefficient, can't think of a better word, way? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah. Usually when someone has a question like that, or they come to me and they say they want to lose weight or whatever, I just follow up with asking why over and over and over again until we kind of figure out what the real reason is. And then usually I'll ask, okay, and then what happens when you achieve that?
Yeah.
And then,
love that question.
And then they're like, and then usually at that point they will kind of come full circle, and then we can kind of develop a plan based off of that. For my clients that I coach competitively, it's it does have to be a little bit more cut and dry. It's pretty obvious. Like you look at the cohort of people that are performing very well in CrossFit, and if these athletes are coming to me and asking to get to that level, we can very clearly point and say the average body fat percentage of a competitive male CrossFitter is somewhere between 15 and 10%. And for women, it's between, 18 to 19 and 15%, right? And it's very rare that you're seeing people outside of that. It's not like it's impossible, but you'd certainly be aligning yourself well with the avatar that's performing very, very well, right? And so for the competitive clients, it's pretty easy. It's like, hey, are you here? No? Okay, here's how we're going to get you there.
Yeah.
The Gen Pop people that come and they're like, I want to lose weight, then that's when it's like, well, why? And they're like, well, because I want to look better. And I'm like, for who? You know? And then they're like, well, I just want to feel like more confident. And I'm like, okay, well, how will losing weight make you feel more confident? Like, I don't know. I just feel like I look better and I want to, like it'll make, and I'm like, well, why is looking better the thing that's going to make you confident? What else could you do that would make you feel confident? And they're like, well, I guess I could like get stronger or be able to run a little bit faster or whatever. And the road to get them to the goal that we end up settling on is usually a little bit more performance based than they initially had thought, and a little bit more like, let's support your goal by like making some small lifestyle changes with your diet. But it's not like someone comes to me and they're like, I'm going to lose weight, and then I'm like, okay, great, here's a macro prescription, go have fun. Like if you can't hit it, then you can't hit it, and it's your fault, sort of deal. Does that answer your question?
No, it does. And I feel like one of the coolest things as a coach too is when you have maybe somebody that is a purely aesthetic or like weight loss goal, and then you see them fall in love with like gaining performance or just like that by proxy kind of healthier thing in some ways that they can focus on. Interesting question, but do you ever have athletes, I guess whether competitively or general population of the gym, that you notice maybe comments or relationships with food, and like you with your knowledge can determine, okay, this person's probably like under eating or has a negative relationship with food? Is that something you ever notice?
Kind of. I think that like yes, it's hard to give you like a raw example, or not raw, but like a word for word example. But I do have clients who will make comments where they're like, man, I'm just getting like, really just need to like go on a diet. I just need to like jump on the wagon and get on keto or something. Like they have this like thought that like they need to make a huge lifestyle change to like get started. Like they want to like totally like open a new book in order to start working towards their goals, when that can work very rarely. Like I think you did 75 hard, didn't you?
I did a version of it with Kenny, but yes.
So there are instances like that where it'll work, right? Like you can be like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to adhere to it, and it's going to be great, and I'm just going to like get super dialed and locked in. I would say that for 90+% of people, that doesn't work. The minute some other stressor comes into their life, shit hits the fan, and then it's not. And then they're like, the problem with that is like this idea that like I'm all bought in, and if I get derailed at all, I'm gonna now I'm just like, it's like you're on a cart and you fall off the wagon, and you're like, well, now it's time for me to just sit on the side of the trail and wait for the next wagon to come before I get back on. When really it's like, just let the wagon slow down a little bit, go hop back on and keep going.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time just because you messed up one time. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It
goes back to that consistency versus perfection.
Right. And so there are certain types of people who can, and usually it's like type A type people who will, like, you give them a very clear list. And if they have all of the other things in line, their support network in line, they're ready, willing, and able to do the steps that are needed, then they'll be very successful. But for most people, that's not the right way to success. For the athletes, it's just when I see their training start to fall off.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, we can either increase calories or we can dial training back. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty
Do
straightforward.
you, I feel like your athletes, it's more cut and dry because they're literally paying you to hyper focus on these things for them. But do you ever feel like it's appropriate or like something you feel inclined to comment on with just like the general people at the gym? Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is...
Yeah, I'll be very honest here, and on, with people face to face at the gym, there's no amount of like beating around the bush that you can do, where if the goal is to lose weight, and if that's the thing that you want to do, you just have to eat less than you expend. Like, there's no getting around the physics of it. And I'm not afraid to tell people that. I'm also like not afraid to have somebody say, well, I'm eating this and I'm not losing weight. It's like, then you need to be more honest with how you're reporting what you're eating.
Yeah.
Or you need to adjust the expected calorie burn that you're using in your calculations when you are trying to factor in your exercise to your overall energy balance. With that being said, there are individuals who oftentimes are chronically underfueled, and you basically end up chasing your metabolism like into this like death spiral, where the only way to like be in a deficit is to keep going into more of a deficit, and then you end up like hitting a dead end where you're just like super underfueled and chronically fatigued and
then your body's like storing
everything
and so it can.
A lot of times if someone is in that situation, and there's a lot of communication that you have to have with the client in order to figure out if it's a lack of reporting or if it's that is the situation that they're in. If that's the case, then usually it's like, we'll bump you up into like a $200 to $300 or $200 to $300 calorie like surplus. Let your metabolism recalibrate. You'll kind of maybe see a little bit of weight fluctuation, but it's not going to be that much. And then you kind of reset the metabolism a little bit, and then from there you can start working back down again, and use a little bit more of the data once you've gotten there. But it is hard to start somebody if there's like a 5'8" lady who is 35 to 40% body fat, and they want to lose weight and they're eating 1,200 calories a day. If they are actually eating 1,200 calories a day and they're not losing weight, it's because they're like severely underfueled. They need to like increase the amount of food that they're eating. Usually with those people, I'll tell them to just crowd out, which is where I'm like, eat as much as you want, but it's just got to come from like quality food. And usually people can't eat in too much of a surplus if it's all quality food.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just eat sweet potatoes and rice and oatmeal and chicken and lean protein and a ton of vegetables, you know, and it's like, it's hard to overeat that type of food because it's so nutrient dense.
So with the topic of food then, what is your, it's kind of a bigger question because it might obviously has changed, but like, what is your relationship with food in general and maybe currently?
Yeah. In general, it's, that food is fuel for performance for me. Because I've always just been really into training. I haven't had a lot of time spent in my life where I'm not really focused on training or having training as like a significant piece of my
priority
life, you know? Yeah.
So
can you ask the question again?
No, you're fine. I feel like that in some ways answers it. I mean, you're approaching food as fuel because training is a priority for you, which is so funny because like when you're talking to someone like me, I don't think I can DM for recipe and just eat chicken and rice.
Yeah. So I think that's
like, do you ever struggle with that?
Yeah,
though?
No. That's what I was about to say. So like what Emily's referring to is I'll post on my Instagram what I'm eating and it's very bland and just like not
two ingredients.
It's nothing exciting. But it also like makes me feel good because I know if I eat that, I'll have a good training session later. I won't feel bloated. I'm not gonna feel like I'm gonna like, you know, poop my pants or throw up during my training.
Totally.
And so like that makes me feel good because really what I care about is coming in, working out and having a good time working out and like training really hard. I'm also just not somebody I have a really low bar for like good food. People, I will talk to individuals at the gym. I'll talk to friends and they're like more foodie type people. And they're like, that place sucks. This place. I'm like, it's all the same to me. I don't really, I have preferences. Like there are places where I go where I'm like, this is definitely better than the other place.
Yeah.
But like, for me, I like eating out because it means I don't have to do dishes. I don't like eating out because it's like the best food ever that I like can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying where I value that and like the list, like my hierarchy of like what's important to me is very low.
But like that is cool in its own way because that is your version of pretty much having like food neutrality. You know, in some aspect, I guess what I mean is I think some people will go 2 ingredient meals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So-and-so, Jessica's trying to lose weight. And the thing is though, she's not actually satisfied with it in the way that you are.
Yeah.
And then she's not creating a sustainable habit. And I feel like that's a huge difference is you're not coughing down that food feeling like this is the only way I can eat. It just benefits you in your goals.
It's like what
it's
I like
enjoyable.
To eat.
Yeah. And again, I think that's really important because you're not going to be fighting every meal thinking you would wanted something else.
Yeah. And it's like I have a lot of other stuff going on. So it would be more burdensome for me to try and like take more time to like make a more curated meal for myself. Like the more steps it has, the more time it takes and the more annoyed I am that I have to do it. You know, like if it's easy for me to eat, regardless, like independent of how quote unquote healthy it is, the more likely I am to eat it just because it's more convenient for me.
We'll make sure there's chicken and rice at the wedding.
Yeah. But like an example of this would be like the other day, I knew that I had to get like some form of carbohydrate and a little bit of protein in after I trained, but it was probably 2 or 3 hours before I was going to come back to the gym to work out again. And I could have made rice in my rice spaceship. I have a giant rice maker that's like restaurant grade. I didn't have any chicken, and it was like when I was driving home, I was like, I'm either going to have to stop at the store, buy a thing of prepackaged chicken, go home, make the rice. It's going to take an hour, and I'll be eating at this time. Or I can just go straight home and eat the protein Pop-Tarts that Hannah has in the
So you steal your wife's Pop-Tarts.
And then I was like, the macros on those are actually okay because they've got like, they're not good. They were okay for me in that instance. Like I was like, if I eat 4 of these Pop-Tarts, I'll get 20 grams of protein. I'll have like a good amount of carbs in, and it's easy and it's quick like that. It's like, okay, cool. It's all about like it's literally about like making sure I eat enough, I get what I need, and like it's convenient for me and easy to get done.
Yeah.
If there were leftovers, I would have probably picked the leftovers, right?
Yeah.
But like it was also like it was too much time for me to do the other thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever, I'll just eat whatever is. I would not have if the protein Pop-Tarts had a bunch of fat in them, for example. I know that eating a high fat meal at that time would make me feel gross. So my second session, I would not have eaten the Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but it was like they line up, they fit into my little thing that I know I need. I'll do whatever is the easiest.
But I think you just highlighted something again that I believe is really important when it comes to our relationship with our bodies and food is you have learned and you've paid attention to what you eat and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And I think so many people will eat things and they'll be like, I feel terrible. I'm like, do you mentally feel terrible because you feel guilty about what you ate? Or like, do you actually feel bloated? Like, you know, do you have indigestion, whatever it is?
That's a really big reason why I try to encourage my competitors and certain people. It depends on the type of person and kind of where they are with their fitness journey. But certainly for my competitors, I will encourage them to spend a significant amount of time tracking everything they eat, because they have any specific like weight loss or weight gain goal. Maybe they do, and it's good data to have. But you can learn a lot about like you can connect the dots on like these days. My afternoon session went really well. Like, what was it that I ate for lunch? How much did I sleep? How much water was I drinking that day? What was like, it was weird. Like, what was the ambient temperature outside?
Yeah.
You know, I noticed that I run way better when it's colder outside. Like, I don't overheat as much. It's easier for me to like maintain my heart rate.
Yeah.
But there are like little things like that if you're consistently tracking, and it doesn't have to be forever. It's not forever. Like right now, I'm not tracking any of the food that I eat. But it's like I've afforded myself that luxury because I know exactly what each thing is gonna feel like with what I eat.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a real one of the strongest cases for tracking food. I don't think it needs to happen all the time, especially if it's like not a huge priority for like significant aesthetic changes or performance goals. I really think that it's a valuable piece of insight to like how food is affecting your performance in the gym for athletes at least. Yeah, I mean, I had Janae the other, like we were doing the nutrition challenge, and she was like, I'm just feeling a little bit depleted with my training, or like when I come in the gym, it's just like, ugh, like it feels. And I was like, take 20 grams of your carbs from your lunch and move them to a like little stick of honey or something like that before you train. And she started coming in the gym. She was like, dude, I feel like I have rocket fuel in me every single time I come into the gym.
Wow.
But now she knows, she's like, if I want, like, I just need to eat a little bit closer to my training, and it needs to be a little bit more of like a sugary source. And she starts training a lot better. Like, those are like little things that you can learn.
I mean, for me,
she had me tell her that, right?
Yeah.
But like, you could also be
now she knows.
You could be recording that and intuit yourself.
Yeah.
That X, Y, and Z are things that I'm doing on days.
Well, yeah, I mean, even workouts. Like why I call it like body wisdom. I think these are the things that like we have to continue to pay attention to, and it's easier in some ways to pay attention to them. One, if you have a coach helping you understand them. But also, I think if you have some neutrality. I mean, for me as somebody that tries to work out in the morning, the difference for me between having a banana and not having a banana It's insane.
Yeah.
And I just like know that about my body now.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with anything aesthetic or certain nutrition goals or anything. It's like, I just don't want to feel like shit when I'm trying to work out.
Right.
And so I think that's just a helpful thing around food that a lot of people don't think to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing I tell my clients too, I'm like, how are your bowel movements? Because if you're having issues there, you're probably ingesting something that your body doesn't like. And that, again, doesn't have to be that what you chose to eat is like bad, etc. It just means maybe it's not helping you achieve your other goals.
Yeah, like coconut water is conventionally like a healthy electrolyte supplement, right? Like if I drink coconut water, it's got like enough stuff in it that it pulls a lot of water into my gut and it gives me like insane diarrhea.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't drink.
No coconut water.
I see people drinking coconut water and I'm like, I mean, good on you, but I can't do that. You know, like I'm like, I gotta stick with Gatorade or something. So like, all that stuff's like really important that you're aware of. The other thing that like, it's not necessarily food or nutrition related is like I think nutrition is a big one, like a big pillar, but like the other two big pillars that like you kind of can build your fitness or your health on top of are like sleep and stress. Like if you get like sleep, stress, and nutrition dialed in, the performance stuff is like, I mean, when you're looking at like the big picture, that's like 80% of it. Yeah. And people are surprised, but like you can, there's like a study where if you sleep an extra hour a night, you end up burning an extra 200 calories a day. Or like it puts you in like it gives you like 200 extra calories to eat or something like that. You have more energy throughout the day. You end up burning more calories because you're like tapping your foot or you're like walking around or you don't feel like you need to lay down for a nap during your lunch break or whatever it is. And
I pretty much have a rule with my Oura Ring for like an early morning workouter. I mean, if we are 65 or anything in that range, we're sleeping more. Like we need that more than getting up and going to the gym, and I'll just go to the gym later.
And the stress thing is a huge one. Like if you don't,
people don't realize how much it matters. It matters so much.
If you are stressed out, it makes everything else so much harder.
I mean, your
obviously,
digestion
like
is slowing down.
You're like, yeah, no shit. But like the ease to like add other habits on, like to continue to fold in new habits, isn't there if you're stressed out.
Yeah.
Like when you're stressed out, you like fall back to like your bare
comfort
minimum
zone.
Yeah, you're like.
Well, and your body's like, also just like kind of in battle. Like you're fighting your stress in a lot of ways. I'm actually like been working on a post about that where it's like, it is the truth. People are so attached to health and wellness in a certain way, like consume this, do this, follow this. And it's like, you guys, the basics of taking care of yourself are pretty freaking boring.
Everyone wants to like, one of the podcasts that I listen to that they talk about this all the time. Their thing is like everyone wants to major in the minors, and it's like you want to dial in like your creatine intake and your supplement timing and all this, and it's like, bro, you sleep 5.5 hours a day, and you just broke up with your girlfriend. Like you're stressed out. You're like got a maxed out credit card. I can tell you why you're not losing weight. Yeah, like you gotta sleep more. Stop like being in this like fight or flight state, you know, dial everything in your life in before you start worrying about, and now you're all stressed about how when you're going to consume your creatine, it's like, dude, you don't
why are you buying the creatine when you can't even train with it?
You don't even like, come on, man. Like there's so many other things that you could be getting better at. Like, you know, like bare bones. It's like, just eat somewhat healthy foods. Until you're full and sleep 8 to 10 hours a night, and you'll be way healthier than most people, you know?
And I mean, in your mind, just, this is a hard question that could go on forever, but like, what does it mean to you to be healthy?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that I'll answer generally, and then I'll answer for myself. I think that being healthy is defined by the individual,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say that generally having like full autonomy and no dependencies.
I like that.
If you can get through a day of your life alone with no issues, you don't feel like you need to rely on anyone to help you with anything or to do anything within reason, then I would say that that's being healthy. I think that all that stuff you see online, this is a healthy test and you got to run a mile in 8 minutes and do 20 push-ups. It's like, that's all bullshit.
That's a fitness test in some
right.
ways.
Like if you can, like, being healthy is like, I'm 80 years old and I can go take a shit, get up, go back to the couch, watch TV, and cook myself dinner at the end of the night. You know what I mean? Like that's, and maybe go for a walk with my dog.
Yeah.
Right. And not get pulled over and have my face broken by my dog. Right. Like that's what I would consider just a baseline being healthy.
Yeah.
You know, you can do that and also eat McDonald's, drink soda, do, you know, I don't know, smoke weed every once in a while, whatever it is.
Yeah.
For me, being like, that would still be my version of being healthy. I just would say that I have generally higher standards for myself. Since I've always been into fitness, I like to think that I have like some level of like fitness standard. I don't think about it enough to know what that is. Well,
I mean, at the root of it too, you enjoy fitness and you enjoy being fit.
And I'm like smart enough to know that we're biologically I'm peaking right about now, and things will probably start to slowly
creak and crack and
downhill. And I'm aware of that, and it's not going to hurt my feelings. You know, I'm not anything special. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I'm happy if I can come in and run a mile.
Yeah.
Right now it's like 7 minutes. If I can always go out and run a mile in 7 minutes and snatch 185 pounds, fast. I'm like, whatever, that's cool. Like that's good enough. I would say that for me, like, given my lifestyle and my physiology that I exist in, if I'm not able to do that, then I've probably had like a significant deviation from like what I would consider living like my own version of like a vital life.
Well, and I think what's important is like you've determined that for yourself, and it's, you know,
I wouldn't expect anyone else to like, I would not project that onto anybody else. I wouldn't look at someone else and be like, you're not healthy because you can't run them. Like, it's all going to be different for everybody, but for like, again,
I'm not sure I'll ever run a 7
my lifestyle and what I've done what I've been capable of in the past and stuff, like, for right now, that's like, if I was significantly far from that, then there would probably be other stuff going on.
Yeah.
That current me would want to address. Yeah. You know. But
that's what makes you a good coach too, is you're not expecting everyone to do, move, eat, exist the same way that you are.
No, it's like all individual, right? Like everyone's different. Everyone's got different physiology and stuff.
Yeah, different life, different things going on. So, I mean, it's relevant. I'm biased. I love CrossFit. So what is your elevator pitch in terms of, you're talking to somebody who's really struggling with their relationship with their body, fitness, why CrossFit?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I think CrossFit really shines in its ease to hold on, let me restart this. I think CrossFit is great because it is a clean, tidied up product that makes it easy for you to do fitness. You get to walk in the door. You don't have to think about anything. Someone tells you exactly what to do. They help you warm up. They help you modify the workout.
Emphasis on properly help you warm up.
They guide you through some lifting. They encourage you during a hard workout. You get to work out with other people, which is really nice. So you get some sort of camaraderie, or you get to commiserate with other people, which makes the oftentimes unpleasant part of working out more pleasant. You can do it with somebody else. And it's all buttoned up within 1 hour, and I just have to show up, walk in the door. I get to walk out an hour from now, and I will have done something beneficial for myself. For elevator pitch for nutrition, I don't know. Just like my go-to is crowd everything out.
Yeah.
Eat as much healthy stuff as you can, and don't put any limits on yourself, and you'll probably hit some sort of like natural equilibrium pretty quickly. And from there you can start to fine tune, but like don't major in the minors.
Yeah.
Just eat enough to support your lifestyle, sleep enough to recover from what you do every day. And start there.
Totally.
So.
No, I really like that. I think you emphasize not only the benefits of group fitness, and if you want to approach fitness, it's a easy way to do it, but I've talked about this with a couple of other people that CrossFit, I think, unfortunately can feel really intimidating. So what is your kind of piece of advice of like, oh, I'm not fit enough, I'm not strong enough, and I don't think I deserve to walk through that door?
Yeah. I think it's like an impossible stigma to break, and it's not something I like to spend a lot of my energy on, because it's like shouting at a brick wall. I can tell you that we've got a wide variety of individuals that come in and work out. It can be intimidating to have to do something new, or like kind of put yourself out there. I guess I would say that yes, it is intimidating, but it shouldn't be any more intimidating than going and trying to play in a rec league for the first time. Or go and do a run club for the first time. The exercise itself is no different than any other physical form of activity that you would do, in terms of its challenge, and the coaches or the people being able to meet you where you're at. No one cares about how fit you are when you start. But I do concede that like it is just an intimidating thing to like go and try something new. And especially with exercise and fitness, when there's like kind of a lot going on, especially in a CrossFit class, it can be a lot. But I think it would be easier to start doing CrossFit than it would be to go and try and learn how to train yourself at a Planet Fitness. Because you're going to have someone that's going to show you how to do everything, and you've got a group of people who have all been in that same position as you. But
no,
I don't know how else. Like, it's such a common thing, and it gets posted all the time online. We're like, how fit should I be before I start? And it's like,
the whole point of this is to help you get fit.
like we don't have tryouts. There's no evaluation.
In regards to that though, do you have anything that could be helpful for someone to hear as to like why, like, hey, you don't feel good in your body, you don't feel like capable in your body? Do you believe CrossFit is unique in helping people achieve that feeling?
I do, because it is, in my opinion, probably the most all-encompassing type of group fitness. If your version of like feeling capable is being able to run around with your kids, and then also like be able to take something heavy out of the back of your car, it's like you need to be strong enough to lift the thing out of the back of your car. You need to have enough stamina and cardiovascular fitness to run around with your kids in the front yard and play soccer or whatever. Orange Theory, cool. That's a version of group fitness. It's probably more cardio based, right? And not quite as much strength based, right? And so maybe if the thing that you're trying to get out of the back of your car is 200 pounds, you might not, if you do Orange Theory,
It's not going to translate.
Maybe it won't help you as much if you do Orange Theory, getting the super heavy thing off the ground or off the back of the truck or whatever. Going in and doing a strength training class somewhere is the opposite. You know, maybe it does help you lift a lot of stuff. You carry the wheelbarrow around with you in the backyard, but you know, if the kid wants to go ride his scooter or ride his bike down the bike path, and you got to keep up with him, it like maybe CrossFit will have prepared you a little bit more on both facets. So again, it's I do think that it's pretty good at both of those things. It's, in my opinion, the best at being okay at both. Not the best at getting you strong, and not the best at getting you, you know, elite level cardiovascular fitness. You know, we're not Big Timber Run Club, but also most of the people here probably would do very well in an Orange Theory class. You know, and we're not a powerlifting gym, but most of the people here could probably show up and hold their own
for sure
and lift very well in a Olympic weightlifting gym or a powerlifting gym. So,
and I would just add to that too. I think CrossFit is probably top of the group fitness I've done, where I've noticed the widest range of bodies, capabilities, age. Like I've seen the most variety and have everyone consistently show up and be happy and like feel good about their fitness. So whatever that says to anyone, just about CrossFit in general. But
it's for everybody. It's a cool way to train because everybody will have different workouts or movements or things that they're good at and things that they're not as good at, and you get to come in and hit home runs every once in a while, and you get to come in and work on something you're not very good at. And both are fun, and both are good for you. And I think that since there's so much different stuff that we do in the gym, everyone gets a little piece of that. So
totally. Okay, love it. Well, last but not least, what does your question say, and what would your answer to it be?
My question is, what signals tell you your body needs rest? For me, I will get not sore, but like this deep aching sensation. Like in like my neck and my back, I'll get kind of like this like deep ache.
Body's just asking for rest, kind of.
And I'll be really tired. And if I wake up and I'm really tired and things just like my body feels like shot. I'm like, okay, that's my sign to back it off. It's not impossible to push through, but I push through that, chances are I'm either going to get sick or injured. Like I've learned my lesson a handful of times, and now I'm like, all
rest is just as important.
Things are starting to feel a little bit like they did that one time I hurt myself, but I should probably dial it back a little bit.
Okay, well, any last parting pieces of wisdom, advice, thoughts, just for, I guess, anyone about their relationship with their body?
I think that everyone is capable. I think that everyone is capable of doing or what they want to do. It can be a challenge to make a change. You have to be ready, willing, and able to make a change. But I think that it can be intimidating to even start. And everyone's body is going to be a little bit different. The way that someone works will be totally different from the other person. And so, hiring a coach and finding somebody who you relate with and that you trust and is supportive to you if you want to make a change is really an invaluable investment that you can make in your own health. And my big thing, don't major in the minors.
Yep. I love that.
Sleep.
Quote of the day.
Sleep, eat, and try not to be stressed.
Taking care of yourself is kind of following the boring basics.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Cheers.